I'm Mia. I'm a good receptionist VTuber, and this is my job, my life. Okay, so like actually, I've always wanted to do one of these, but I never really got to it, so I put it as my like donathon goal, and we actually hit it. So this was brought to you by the Squabblers. Thank you so much to everyone who contributed to the donathon, and thank you so much to my amazing community for making this happen, because I would not have gotten to it if not for that. So thank you very much. All right, on to what you're actually here for. So I was born in a small town on the 8th of May to my elf parents. The first thing I remember is my dad's company falling apart. My parents went out their way to send me to a really prestigious middle school what we had left because they wanted to secure the best odds for my future. And I'm so grateful that I got to experience this. Because everyone spoke English here, I picked it up really quickly, but then I never got to learn how to read or write in my own mother tongue. And that stands even to this day. I also got to experience the lifestyle my friends lived to a small extent since they came from really well-off backgrounds. They go to concerts or go to the mall every other week, and sometimes I'd wonder why I'd never heard of concerts before or my friends weren't allowed to visit our home. Looking back, it didn't really occur to me how large the gap was between living paycheck to paycheck and having an indoor pool. I was just a kid. I think my parents liked it that way. My dad was still trying to save what he could of his company, but at this point, I have really vivid memories of him and my mom sealing like large amounts of fertilizer in bags by hand and driving long distances just to get them into the shops that would still sell them. We moved around a lot because of our finances and weren't really in one place for very long. I'm not sure when, but at some point we stopped taking the machines with us and my parents were home a lot less. Eventually, we rented a little shop lot house that was close to the school I'd soon transfer to. It was in a way more rural area, and things were like considerably different. A lot of the friends I made didn't actually speak much English at all, but they were really nice, and they welcomed me really warmly, even though I was really, really shy. As a result, I picked up a new language, woo! But yeah, so everyone lives kind of nearby, so I started walking to and from school with them every day. I had essentially become the very definition of a latchkey kid. With the sudden freedom I just gained, I stayed out late to visit my friends' houses without like my parents knowing, but I'd always be back before like they got home. This was a system that worked until my friends at the time brought me to like a new place and thought I knew how to get home on my own. Long story short, I ran into oncoming traffic because I asked the dude if he knew the way to my address, and he said he was gonna call my parents, and I panicked and I almost got hit by a car. I got home in the end, I did. And I confessed to my parents at 3 a.m. and always told them where I was after that. Lesson learned. Oh yeah, and I almost joined a gang of teenagers whose name directly translates into Hell Kids. When I wasn't out being dumb, I was on the home computer a lot, and I discovered anime and Vocaloid, so a good part of my childhood memories are obstructed by Hatsune Miku and all the rom-com anime I was watching. I even got into like Utao and recorded a bunch of voice banks. At the ripe age of 13, I knew I was gonna be a Vocaloid producer. You know how that turned out. 2 years later, a friend brought me to my first anime convention, and I'm pretty sure that set the trajectory of my life. I bought like a second, third, fourth hand Kamine Rin cosplay that didn't even come with the bow and started meeting all these new people. I'd always been really anxious growing up, so this helped me feel like way more comfortable in my skin, and I finally started initiating conversations instead of waiting to be adopted by the nearest extrovert. It was eventually time for me to go to college, and I picked animation, not really understanding what I was signing up for, but it set me up for life with the lessons I learned. It was just, it wasn't just about the art. It was about learning how to learn and the realization that I don't need a structure to be handed to me in order to learn. Anyway, I failed through art school because it's not easy, starting from zero, and I dropped out of my second year. Then the pandemic hit. In the midst of the chaos, I found comfort in being left to my own devices. I'd always kind of liked my own company, so it wasn't too hard to keep myself occupied. One of those ways was coming across Bakura and Gura. My eyes were then opened to the existence of VTubers. I also found out about Vtuber around the same time, so I thought, hey, why not give it a shot, right? Before I knew it, I had a model on my hands and thought, it's such a waste for me not to use it. So I made like a bunch of my own overlays and told all my friends about it and just started streaming. For the first time in my life, I felt like I found something special. It wasn't just passion, right? But also a sense of belonging, ambition even. Despite my fear of public speaking and speaking in general, it just felt natural to stream and just yap about random stuff. Knowing people actively look forward to spending time with me pushed me like to pick up a bunch of new skills so I could come back better each time. It was seriously amazing, and all I could think about was how amazing it would be if I could just keep this up forever. Then my dad passed away. It was a really difficult time for my mom and I, but I never really understood how I felt about this. It's not something I speak about much, but my father has always exhibited abusive tendencies, especially during my younger years. I felt a lot about my dad, and most of it is negative. But if there was one thing I knew for sure, even if he was a bad father, it wasn't because he didn't care. I have memories and pictures of when times were simpler and when he was kind and good to my mom and I, but I think the stress of losing everything at once just got to him, and he really wasn't the same after that, even though it was clear that he was trying. Watching the Hannah Montana movie with him is still one of my fondest memories towards the later years of his life. I'd actually not been on speaking terms with him, and I still believe that it was the right thing to do. But it didn't change the fact that I still cared about him. I just needed to protect myself. I don't really get to talk about this much, so it's nice to finally acknowledge this. I wouldn't say I'm healing, but I'm definitely still figuring things out. It's just life. But moving on to less complicated, happier memories. Somewhere along the lines, I was offered a guild receptionist spot at Project Memoir, and I was left with a lot of free time, like a lot of free time while on the job. At this point, I'd taken a really long break from streaming because I was locked in at college where I studied the art of being a guild receptionist. And I thought, hey, why not stream again? And that brings us to today. It feels amazing to be doing what I love and to stream for everyone once more. It's been 6 months since my debut, and it has been wonderful. I'm so happy to have found you guys, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Thank you. Question mark?